Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to talk about the report that Dominic Cummings, the Archduke of Chaos, may be behind Rishi Sunak's recent chaotic policy changes in an effort to try to prove to the voting public that he is not the establishment, by annoying as many people as possible, even though the people he's most annoying are his potential allies. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So Rishi Sunak has undergone what I reckon is his fourth leadership reset now. The decision to announce the scrapping of the Manchester leg of HS2 whilst he was actually in Manchester was widely ridiculed. You know, it is standard political wisdom that when you're going to announce a policy that's going to benefit a particular area, you make that announcement in that area because they like it and they will like you. So the reverse has to be true. If you're going to tell a part of the country, sorry, we're going to screw you over, don't announce it in that part of the country. It is a case of very much ripping up the political playbook. And there is a person who is famous for being very fond of ripping up the political playbook, isn't there? I did actually have someone post a comment on one of my videos earlier, yesterday I think it may have been, that it was Dominic Cummings behind this, jokingly. Well, according to one report, yes, he is. Unheard are reporting that after terrible polling results and with no other ideas about how to turn things around, Rishi Sunak reached out to Dominic Cummings for advice. The concept of this is not as mad as it sounds. Rishi Sunak will have worked closely with Dominic Cummings in 2020. I gather they saw eye to eye on a number of issues. Cummings is associated with the strategic driving force behind both Brexit referendum and 2019 general election wins, from their point of view. In reality, Cummings often embellishes his role in both of those campaigns, but he's nonetheless associated with them. And Sunak needs a campaign winner to advise him. So it seems perfectly feasible that Sunak, in desperation, might approach Dominic Cummings. The official party strategist Isaac Levidow had already told Sunak to cast himself as the choice for change. A dubious prospect. Boris Johnson in theory did the same, but the difference was he specifically argued that he'd be the least bad change compared with Corbyn's Labour. Like, even Boris Johnson could not categorise himself as the agent of change, but not Labour. You know, that was ridiculous. He couldn't characterise Labour as the choice for carrying on as things are. So he had to characterise Labour as representing the worst change. Sunak would have to face the same strategic reality. He cannot claim that he is the agent of change and that Starmer is not. His only chance of being the agent of change is, like Johnson, to claim that he is the better agent of change, or the least bad one. But as voters are not really put off by Starmer, this strategy is folly. A recent poll by YouGov tested this agent of change prospect. 13% of the public see Sunak as representing change, compared to 69% thinking he represents more of the same. Even amongst 2019 Conservative voters, 26% see him as representing change, to 59% saying more of the same. Sunak is simply not going to credibly claim that he will deliver change. You know, this is why, according to the article, Dominic Cummings advised Sunak to, as the article quotes, do mental stuff that proves you're not the establishment. That was paraphrasing, by the way, but that's from the article. So Sunak's mental stuff certainly has the establishment against him. David Cameron and Boris Johnson have both attacked the decision to scrap HS2 and are in full agreement about the negative way this portrays the Conservatives and their ambitions. Only Dominic Cummings could come up with a plan which involves pissing off all of your allies, and only someone as naive as Sunak could adopt the ideas without question. After all, who else but the hopelessly naive Sunak would take strategic advice from a man who bundled his family into a car to drive down a dodgy road in order to test whether or not he was blind? In fact, I would argue scrapping HS2 works against his claims to be representing change. After all, Promising a big investment and then pulling the funding later on has been what the Tories have been doing for 13 years now. Actually delivering would have been the change, but Sunak is committing himself to this insanity. Whether the insanity really does come from Cummings' advice or not hardly matters, doesn't matter. This is a chaotic way to approach policy making, but it does bear the hallmarks of Cummings. Shake the birdcage for no reason other than to ruffle feathers, because ruffling feathers shows that we're different. Rebelling without a cause. It won't convince people that Sunak isn't part of the establishment. It will just breed resentment amongst those who wanted their levelling up. It also means that there will not be an election next autumn. Seriously. I know I've said for a while that next May was the most likely in my view, but it remains much more so now. Sunak doesn't want an election this autumn. That's clear. If he did, he'd have said so yesterday and screwed Labour's conference plans. If there's to be an election this autumn now, it can only come as a result of a major Tory rebellion. But with even Liz Truss's bandits threatening one next March, it doesn't seem likely we're going to get one like imminently. But Sunak cannot go for an election next autumn. I've said a few times that trying to pretend that you represent change, it's already difficult when your party's been in power for 13 years and you've been Prime Minister for basically a year. But Sunak is claiming that he's had to spend most of that time, that last year, clearing up the mess left by his predecessors. Like, okay, you might just about make that one work. You can probably just about make that argument. But next autumn, he'd have cleared up that mess by his own admission and spent a whole year, including a new budget, delivering. Only he's not going to deliver anything. If Sunak is serious about pretending to represent change, he has to have an election before people have decided he's had enough time to implement that change. That means next spring. Might even be a case of let Jeremy Hunt announce the budget, then immediately announce the general election. You know, you leave it much longer and your agent of change pitch loses all its power. Not that I think it has power right now, but even Sunak will know it can't possibly have a year later. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.